DreAllDay.com.
Right place, right time. We call that good timing. You are tuned in to the show where you learn the discipline to show up day after day, to do the work, the confidence to put yourself out there boldly and authentically, and the mental toughness to continue showing up, doing the work, putting yourself out there, even when the success you've expected to achieve is yet to be achieved. And on top of all this, you get a huge dose of personal initiative to go get an energy that moves anyone out there to go and make things happen instead of waiting for things to happen. We put all this together in one bundle, one mindset, one method, one philosophy, one book, one show, one master class. It is called Work on Your Game. My name is Dre Baldwin, also known as Dre All Day, and welcome to the show. And today we are on part 2 of 10 signs of strong social skills, of being fully socially equipped. We did points 1 through 5 yesterday, the first 5 strong social skill signs. And today we are doing numbers 6 through 10. So if you want the explanation of where this came from and why we're talking about it, then you go and listen to yesterday's masterclass. And today we're going to go straight into this one. And of course, I will direct you to the related masterclasses on each one of these topics here that you need to get familiar with. If you are not familiar with all the masterclasses that have come out on this show right here, then I strongly suggest you go to Work On Your Game U for university, workonyourgameu.com. Get your free 14-day trial to the Game Group membership, in which you get access to every masterclass that I've ever created over the last 4 years, plus a slew of other material that I didn't even mention here, but you can read all about it again at workonyourgameu.com or workonmygame.com/game group. They both go to the same place. But let's get into it. We're in point number 6, strong social skill signs. Number 6, listens and relates. So this goes hand in hand with what was said in point number 5, which is lets other people talk. You know, when you let other people talk, now the next step of letting people talk is you have to listen to what other people are saying. So hearing what someone says is one thing, listening to what they say is another thing. Because when you listen, you'll notice maybe what people are not saying. You'll notice what you can hear or read in between the lines, as we say. You can also notice the energy behind what people say, because as we already talked about, the energy that people have when they are communicating tells you a whole lot more than the actual words that they're saying. See, when you hear another person talk, that means you know what words they said. When you listen to a person talk, then you notice the energy behind the words. You notice what they may not be saying, what they want to say, but maybe they're just not comfortable saying it. What they want to say, maybe they don't feel like they don't feel like they're in a safe space to express it, what they want to say. When you're listening to a person, you notice these things. When you're hearing a person, all you catch is the words. See, a lot of people who are socially weak, they are not well equipped socially. They hear what other people say. Oh, you said this, you said that. And these are the type of people who will try to get you into arguments over semantics that don't even matter, pointing out some word that you use that has no real effect on the bigger picture of what the conversation is about, and they want to drag it into that. People with weak social skills, this is one of their main tools, is that they are talking about words. They only hear things, but they don't actually listen to things. People with strong social skills are really good listeners. They hear the things that are not being said, and they're able to relate to what the other person is communicating, whether they said it or not. This is a really important one. When socially skilled people talk, they talk to relate to the people to whom they are speaking, or the people to whom they are listening. For example, if someone with very strong social skills is on a stage giving a speech, they probably don't get to listen to a whole lot of people before they get on the stage. They're the ones doing all the talking. But when they're talking, they're relating to the audience. They find a way to make a connection between themselves and the audience very quickly, because again, as I already told you, people are buying the person. They're buying you and your nonverbal communications over any of the words that you're saying. The words that you speak are the lowest common denominator in how people decide to relate to you or not. Even somebody like myself, I make my living by being a professional speaker. And I'm not talking just giving speeches on stages. I'm talking writing a book is a professional speaking. Giving a sales presentation is professional speaking. A consultation, this show right here, this is all professional speaking. I'm a professional, and I make my living by speaking. Taking what I'm thinking, communicating it to you, and hopefully exchanging enough value that you understand the value that it's worth. That's all professional speaking. A teacher is a professional speaker. Socially skilled people, they speak to relate to an audience, and people are buying you as the messenger, the type of person you are, the energy you carry yourself with, all your nonverbal communications, your presentation, your posture, your eye contact. They buy all of that stuff over and above, a much higher level than they buy the actual words that you're speaking. So you, as a professional speaker yourself, was I'm sure you are on some level. If you're a coach, if you're a consultant, if you're a life coach, you're a business coach, you're a teacher, you're a salesperson, anything that you do where you had to communicate to other people, and that's part of your job, you're a professional speaker. So what I suggest that you do is start paying as much attention to your everything other than your words as you pay attention to your words. Because I've seen a lot of people spend a whole lot of time and a whole lot of energy making sure that they say the right words. I got to make sure I say this right. I got to make sure I memorize this. I got to rewrite my speech, make sure I'm saying all the right things and hitting all the right points. But understand that people aren't really buying the words that you're saying. They're buying everything other than that. So how much time are you putting into everything else in addition to the words? Agreement, finding common ground with others, confirming other people, in other words, making other people feel comfortable in sharing whatever it is they want to express. All these are signs of strong social skills. People who are apt to disagree, apt to try to point out any kind of discrepancy that is minuscule, some type of minutia that doesn't really matter, again, to the bigger picture. These are signs of weak social skills, very weak social equipment, or a lack of social equipment. People who are unable to find common ground with other people. They always seem to be getting into arguments and disputes and back and forth that don't really matter in the big picture of things. People who disconfirm other people, meaning they're the type of person who every time someone says something, they're pointing out something wrong with it, pointing out something that some discrepancy, again, things that don't really matter in the big picture. These are all signs of weak social equipment. Generally speaking, socially strong people are, for the most part, agreeable and accepting. Again, generally speaking, a socially strong person can use disagreement when they need to, and they can not accept something if they feel that it's unacceptable. But generally speaking, socially strong people are agreeable, meaning they find common ground with other people. They find a way to get along with other people. Even when they disagree with another person, they find a way to make a connection with that person. Okay, we may disagree on this point right here, but look, we're on the same page here because you want this, I want this as well. We just have different ways of going about it. That's a way of making an agreement with another person. A socially strong person always finds a way to do this. A socially weak person always finds a way to not agree with another person no matter what happens to be going on. And a socially strong person is accepting. Again, we may have different points of view. You like this political candidate, I like this political candidate. You're of this religion, I'm of this religion. You're from this side of town, I'm from that side of town. But I can find a way to accept you, even though we may have different points of view, even though we may strongly disagree on a certain point, even though you may have done something that I really do not like. I'll still find a way to accept you as a person. Because that's what socially strong people do. Socially strong people find a way to accept other people as they are. You know why? Because what are you going to do? I mean, unless you're a type of person who go around and just killing people and knocking off anybody you disagree with, you ain't got no other choice but to find a way to accept other people. You may dislike a person. You may disagree with them. You may think they're completely wrong. You may think they're a complete fucking idiot for having the belief that they believe. But you still have to find a way to accept that person because, again, they're still going to be alive whether you agree with them or not. They're going to still be alive whether you accept them or not. And generally speaking, again, socially strong people understand this point and they use it to their advantage. Socially weak people are really bad listeners, meaning, as I already explained, they hear everything you said, but they don't listen to what you said. So these are the type of people who will argue with you on these small little detailed points of the words that you said, but they're not really understanding the overall spirit of what you're saying. So this is the thing, if you ever heard anybody say, you're talking about the letter of the conversation, but you're not catching the spirit of the conversation. There's a difference between the two. The spirit of the conversation is a listening skill. The letter of the conversation is a hearing skill. And there are a lot of socially weak people out there these days. You'll find a lot of them on social media. And the reason, again, people have become so socially weak is because they don't have any socialization experience. All their socialization is happening through their phone and typing with their thumbs on keyboards. They're not having actual interactions with real people in real life. So they become really good at catching the words that people say, but they're really terrible at catching the spirit of what people are saying. And this is why I suggest you get out and actually get real life interactions with real human beings. And this is why socially weak people are really good at repelling other people. They push people away from them and people will even avoid you. You become an energy draining individual simply because you're you're a disconfirming individual. You're always pointing out the mistakes that other people are making. Who wants to be around that type of person? I mean, do you want to be around a person like that? Episode number 10, masterclass number 10. Yes, the very beginning of this show here. The topic was energy draining people. So you want to make sure you're not an energy draining individual. I suggest you check that one out. And also 1297, your anti-people skills that you need to master. Point number 7. Today's topic is, this is part 2 of 2, signs of socially strong individuals. Number 7, comfortable touching people, comfortable making actual physical contact. And when I say physical contact, I don't mean in a way that violates anybody's rights or that makes other people uncomfortable. I'm talking about simple things like a handshake, a hug, a social touch. Any of you are familiar with the elbow touch. Maybe you've had a conversation with someone who does this. If you go look it up on YouTube, look up the elbow touch in conversation. It's when a person is talking to you and casually in their conversation in such a way that you may not even notice them doing it, they can touch your elbow while they're speaking to you. And it's proven, it's been scientifically proven, and many body language experts talk about this, communication experts talk about this. Making that touch with a person while you're having a conversation with them increases the amount of rapport between you and that other individual. And people who are really good at conversation and rapport building, they are able to incorporate physical touch into their communication in such a way that you don't even notice that they're doing it, but at the same time you feel more comfortable with them when and while they're doing it. Socially strong people are really comfortable at closing the physical space between them and others in such a way that people are comfortable with them actually doing it. If you ever been to a conference or anything like that, you may have seen some speakers who will walk out into the crowd while they're talking. And what that does is it closes the space. If you've ever been in a conference or you've been a speaker at an event and you're standing on the stage, there's a big distance between you and your audience. And you could be the most eloquent speaker in the world, most famous person in the world, but that space creates a little bit of a disconnect spiritually between what you have to say, what you're trying to communicate, and what you want the audience to listen to. But when you step off of the stage and you start walking amongst the audience, you're standing right there next to them. You can touch somebody while you're talking. All of these things increase the rapport between you and the audience, and it increases the likelihood that people will actually listen to what you're saying and remember what you say and actually do something with it. So closing the physical space between you and others, again, in a way that they're comfortable with, not in a creepy way, not in a way that makes anyone uncomfortable or makes people back off. This is a skill that you have to learn. There's an art to it. You got to learn strong people skills to be able to do this. I suggest you follow all the other points first before you start trying to use this one. Point number 8. Today's topic is part 2 of 2, the strong social skill signs of people who are very well equipped socially. Number 8, walk with a swagger. I like this one here. This relates to posture, as we talked about in yesterday's masterclass. Go sit somewhere in a public place and watch people walk by. Just watch people walk. Don't talk to anyone. And try to guess, as you watch people walking past, try to guess how each individual person feels about himself or herself and about their lives just by watching them walk by. See how well you can do this. And it's amazing what you will notice just observing people. If you can discipline yourself to pay attention to others and pay less attention to yourself, turn off your own internal conversation, you will notice a whole lot of things about other people just watching them walk by. They don't have to say anything. They may not make any eye contact with you. Just watching people walk, you can tell a lot. And here's the thing that you'll notice. You can feel when a socially skilled person walks into a room. Have you ever seen that before? A person with really strong social skills walks into a room. They have a presence that both gives and draws energy. They draw energy and that people are noticing them. Like, I don't know who that person is, but I can tell there's somebody. It's just something about their energy that tells me that person is somebody. But they also give energy, meaning other people like to be around them. Other people like to talk to them. Other people like to talk about themselves to that person because that person listens. That person is open. That person is available. These are the things that draw other people to any individual. And a person with those strong social skills, people can feel that energy coming off of you without you having to explain it. You don't have to announce it. People don't even have to know who you are. It's just the type of energy that we all can feel. Again, it's an unconscious, non-verbal communication that we all have the ability to do this, but most of us turn that skill off through 2 things. Number 1, not having any physical contact with other human beings because we're doing everything through our phones. And number 2, being so self-conscious and self-centered and focused on ourselves and our own internal conversations that we never give the attention or the resources to notice what anybody else has to say. And other people have just as much to say as we do, but we don't notice it because we're only thinking about ourselves. You got to turn off that self-consciousness that is causing you to repel other people, and it's probably costing you a whole lot of opportunity that you don't even know it's costing you. So again, my people skills course at workonmygame.com/people, and I suggest you take a look at the leadership bundle with my 3 books on communication between you and other people and communication with yourself, which you can get at workonmygame.com/LB for leadership bundle. Number 9, today's topic is part 2 of 2. Strong signs of a socially well-equipped individual. Number 9, speaks at a slower pace. Now, why would a person who is very socially well-equipped speak at a slower pace? I'll tell you why. Socially skilled people who are comfortable around other people and comfortable in their own skin, they are comfortable with having your attention. They're comfortable in knowing that you're paying attention to them and that all your time and attention at this moment is on them. And they're all right with them being heard and seen by you for as long as it takes for them to get their point across. They're okay with it. Socially awkward people usually speak a lot faster. They don't speak as loudly. Their points are not as clear often because they're trying to get it over with. They're trying to get off the stage and get off of being the center of attention of another person. And again, this can be in a one-on-one conversation. They want to get off of being the center of attention with another person. So they try to get it over with and get it done quickly and get out of there so they can go back to the back. They can fade back to the background where they like being. Socially strong people are comfortable with you hearing them. They're comfortable with being seen, and they're comfortable knowing that they are taking your time right now for them to get their point across. They are okay with taking your time and attention and letting you hear what they have to say. As a professional speaker, for example, this is me talking about myself. I've gotten better at this over the years. I think I've slowed down significantly when it comes to me, when I give my speeches, making my points. And I'm talking about starting with making YouTube videos 15 years ago and now to stand on stages at conferences. When you slow down during your speech, there are several things that you accomplish. Number 1, you make sure that people catch everything that you say. Something that you have to remember. Any of you, again, everybody here is a professional speaker on some level, but I'm talking about especially when you're verbally getting your point across, here's some things that you need to remember. Nobody knows your material nearly as well as you know it. So when you're giving a speech, even if you're talking to an audience of people who you think are familiar with your material, here's something you got to remember. They don't know it the way you know it. They haven't heard it 30 times like you have. They weren't at the rehearsals when you kept saying it over and over again to yourself. Which means when you make a point, they have to hear your point, process your point, and consider what it means before their mind is again available to hear the next point. Which means if you talk too fast, they will hear what you say, and while they are processing what you just said, you're already saying another thing, and they're going to miss the second thing because they're still processing the first thing. This is why you got to slow down when you talk. Now, if you happen to be in a format such as this one right here, where something's being recorded, if I say something that you think is really valuable or you think the whole message is very valuable, just listen to it over and over again. But if I'm live, if any of you, I don't know how many people listen to this have ever heard me present live or just had a conversation with me live, I'll speak more slowly in person than I do on this. One of the reasons is I want to make sure you catch everything that I say, you process it, you understand it, and then I can move on to the next point. So you really got to slow yourself down when you talk. Another thing that happens is, and I didn't even have this in my notes, but I'm going to put this here, especially for those of you who give any type of presentation, it fills space. A lot of times I see people who are giving speeches and they have so much material in their speech that the reason they have so much material in their speech is because they have a certain amount of time. But the thing about being a professional speaker, I'm talking about by trade, is that they'll tell you, like I'm speaking at a conference in a couple weeks, and I have a 90-minute window to give my speech. And the thing is, I might not want to talk for 90 minutes. I might have 45 minutes of really good material that I want to give. I don't want to make it 90 minutes, but they give me 90 minutes. And if I don't take the whole 90 minutes, then it kind of looks like I shortchanged the conference by not giving the whole 90 minutes. So what can you do? Well, you can slow down. I can still give you a 45-minute speech, but I can make it last 90 minutes because I just take my time with my talking. It's just a simple hack. The slower that you talk, the more time you take up. So you don't have to jam pack your speech with so much material that the people are not going to remember anyway, because you're going to have to talk so damn fast just to get it all out. And because when you practice, you may be talking so fast that it seems like the time is going by so quick. But if you slow down, 45 minutes of material, or what you consider 45 minutes, can take 75 minutes. Then you take 15 minutes for a Q&A, you good. Third thing that happens, when you slow down in your speech, is that you get to organize your thoughts. Because one of the things that happens here in these classes that I give is I have notes. I don't script out everything that I say. That would be a whole lot of writing. I have notes of things that I want to say. Point number 1, I'm going to say this. Point number 2, point number 3. And every once in a while, I have some anecdotes or stories that I want to share. But a lot of the anecdotes and the stories that I share, and sometimes I add extra points, those things just come to me off the top of my head while I'm talking. One of those reasons is because I have the, quote, 10,000 hours, close quote, of practice in doing this for so long. But another reason is because I slow down. I slow down when I'm talking, and I give myself space to process. I sometimes process what I just said. And while I'm processing it, a thought will come to me like, oh, let me tell this story. Or let me tell this thing that just happened yesterday. Or let me tell this thing I saw on TV. Or this thing that happened to this person who I don't even know. Those things come to me when I slow down as I'm talking right there on the spot. And again, this is something that comes with practice, but it also comes with giving yourself space. You got to give your mind space to think. Because I'm talking, most of 99% of the material that I say here is not written down in my notes. It's just something I get the note and it triggers a thought in my mind, and then the material starts coming to me. And when I slow down, more and more material comes to me. If I spoke even slower, if I just made myself speak even slower on this show, I guarantee you I will come up with even more material. Because I'm giving my mind even more time to consider what I just said. Because I'll say something that I didn't even know I was going to say, and it'll lead to another idea or another thought that leads to more material. And fourth thing that happens when you slow down when you're talking is you appear more confident and relaxed. Because think about it. A person who feels very confident and very relaxed and they know they're a successful person, all right, they are 100% comfortable with making you wait to listen to what they have to say. They don't mind that you're waiting. They don't mind that you're taking 30 minutes of their time, of your time. They don't mind that they're taking 30 minutes of your time. They don't mind. They're okay with saying something and then pausing, taking a deep breath, and then saying their next thing. They're all right with making you wait. Why? Because they're socially strong. They're very confident in themselves. They don't mind the what some people call an awkward pause. They're comfortable with that pause. It's not awkward to them. If some people have a conversation, they say, well, I don't like when there are too many awkward silences in a conversation. Now, there are times when you don't want to have too many awkward silences in a conversation, but a silence doesn't have to be awkward. It's just, there are just some people who are uncomfortable with silences, so they call it an awkward silence. But then they end up filling that space with nothingness, not saying anything, just because they can't deal with the silence. Learn to be comfortable with space and silence in a conversation. Socially strong people are okay with there being a space in between their points. Why? Because they know the last thing they said was good, and they know the next thing they say is good. And because they know that you know it, thus, they know that you will wait to hear the next thing because the last thing was so good. See how that works? Socially weak people, on the other hand, they feel unworthy of your time and attention. So, you know what they do to display this unworthiness that they feel? They unconsciously talk a lot faster just to get it over with. Because they don't want to be taking up your time. They don't want to be taking up that space in your life. They don't feel worthy of that time of yours. They think that you think this is taking too long. They think that you think you got to go. They think that you think their material is no good, so you better get it over with quick. And that's exactly what they do. Even though they have no idea what you're thinking. They're just using you as an excuse for their own beliefs about themselves. Point number 10. This is the last one. Today's topic point, this is part 2 of 2. Signs of strong social skills of any human being. Number 10, keeps calm under criticism. This is a great one right here. Keeps calm under criticism. And we could also add calm under confrontation. We talked about criticism last in masterclass number 1316. That correction is not criticism. Don't get all bent out of shape when somebody criticizes you. Episode 1240. Stop trying to avoid criticism. Number 957. How to earn your right to be the person giving criticism. Not everybody is qualified to criticize other people, even if you think you notice something. In masterclass number 720, I told you how to handle criticism. And number 18 also told you about dealing with criticism. Socially strong people are okay with criticism. I've talked about this in several classes, as I just mentioned. Socially skilled people, you know why they're okay with criticism? Because they understand that criticism will either A, make them better, or B, be useless and they can throw it away. Those are only two outcomes. You criticize somebody who is socially strong, they're either going to thank you and appreciate it because they're going to use it to make them better, or they're going to realize that you don't know what the hell you're talking about and they'll mentally discard it and it'll be over. And there'll be nothing else to say about it. That's it. There's no harm that could possibly be done by somebody criticizing you. All right, you're not going to get hurt. You're not going to go to jail. You're not going to lose your job. You're not going to lose any money. Nothing's going to happen to you just because somebody criticizes you. You can either throw it away or you can accept it and use it to make yourself better. That's it. There are only two possible outcomes. Socially strong people are also all right with being singled out as a person who needs to improve, if you want to call it singled out. If they're on a team and the coach calls them out amongst everybody else on the team, they're all right with that. As long as it's something that's actually going to help them improve, they're good with it. And if it's some bullshit, they can mentally discard it. Maybe they'll brush back against it, push back against it, maybe, if it's a social situation. But they're comfortable with the fact that the criticism is happening if they believe on some level that there's going to be some use to it. Because you know why? Here's another reason why. Socially strong people want to improve. And they understand that they can't always see their own areas for improvement in the mirror. You know, my colleague Donna St. Louis, she's a person who I first heard say this, that you can't always see yourself in the mirror. That you can look at yourself and examine yourself and think you're hard on yourself and that you're your own biggest critic, as the cliche goes, a lot of people say. But there are certain things about you that you won't notice, but other people will. This is why a socially strong person, no matter how hard on yourself you are, how much of a self-critic you claim to be, there are certain things that you need other people to notice in you because you're just blind to them because you're you. All right, just again, part of our wiring as human beings. So socially strong people want to know, hey, where can I get better? What are my areas for improvement? Socially strong people are the kind of individuals who will go to someone and say, what can I do better? How can I be better? What's wrong with this? What are my areas for improvement? What do you think I need to do differently with what you just saw? I know I won the award. I know I won the trophy. I know I'm the best on the team. I know I'm the MVP, but what can I do to get better? Socially strong people are looking for ways to get better, and they will solicit this feedback from the people they trust. Socially weak people never solicit constructive feedback. Even from people that they trust, even from people that they know and like, they will never solicit constructive feedback. And you know why? It's not because they don't know that they're imperfect. They know they're imperfect, but they don't solicit the feedback because they're uncomfortable with what they're going to hear. They're uncomfortable with what they think they're going to hear, and they're uncomfortable with the fact that once they hear it, now they're responsible for it. Because see, me as a socially strong individual, if I come to you and say, tell me what ways I can improve. Now, whatever you tell me, if I don't do anything about it, now I know that you know about it. If I don't do anything, now I just look like an asshole because I asked you for your feedback, then I didn't do anything with it. Like, what the hell you asked me for if you wasn't going to do anything with it? Now, if I ask you, now I'm committed to it because you said it. And if I accept it and say, you know what, you're right. And then 3 months later, you see nothing has changed. You're like, okay, I'm not talking to him anymore because he obviously isn't going to do anything with it. I wasted my time talking to him. Socially weak people, they don't want to hear any type of constructive feedback because then they're going to have to deal with that constructive feedback. Now they're responsible. Socially weak people don't want too much responsibility, especially if they know other people know about it. But socially strong people know that they can't see themselves in the mirror. They know that somebody's got to be able to tell them some things, and there needs to be some people in their lives. Not everybody. Let me be clear, it is not everybody. I talked about this in 1297. You are not qualified to criticize people just because you think you see something they need to fix. They may not want to hear from you. We buy the messenger before we buy the message. Let me be clear. This is not about you as the criticizer. This is about you as the person receiving the criticism. That's what we're talking about here today. You have, as a socially strong person, some people in your life, a handful of individuals, usually is not more than the number of people you can count on your hands, or hand, singular, who you are willing to hear criticism from, and you will solicit it from them. You will ask them to criticize you. And you'll take their criticism to heart and you'll do something about what they say or have a conversation about it or whatever. Doesn't mean you gotta hear from everybody though. Again, let me be clear. So let's recap today's topic, which is part 2 of 2 of the 10 signs of strong social skills of any human being. You need to check yourself and ask yourself, which of these skills do you have and which of these skills do you need? And you need to be urgent about getting them. Point number 6, listens and relates. When socially skilled people talk, they talk to relate to the person they're talking to or that they've been listening to. They're good at agreement, are good at finding common ground and confirming other people. Generally speaking, socially strong people are mostly agreeable and accepting. They are not disagreeable. They're not always pointing out people's mistakes. They're not negative individuals. Socially weak people are really bad listeners, meaning they hear things, but they don't listen to things. A lot of this is because people don't actually have real social interactions in real life anymore. And a lot of people will start to avoid socially weak people. You find people are avoiding you, then that's telling you something. Or listen to the masterclass on energy draining people, number 10. Number 7, that's masterclass number 10. Point number 7, they are comfortable touching people, not in a violating type of way. I'm talking about things like handshakes, hugs, social touch. Look up on YouTube a video on elbow touching in conversation, and you'll see what I mean. And you'll probably notice that someone's done this to you before. You can start using it. People who are good at conversation and rapport building, they do this really well, closing the physical space between them and other people, and you feel very comfortable with them when they do it. Socially strong people are comfortable with this in a way that, again, it makes you feel better talking to them because they're able to close their physical space. And again, it's so unconscious that you probably won't even notice when they're doing it. Number 8, if you notice it, then they're probably not doing it well. All right, people notice that you're closing the physical space, you're not doing a good job of it. Point number 8, walk with a swagger. This relates to posture. Go sit in a public place and watch people walk by and try to guess how that person feels just by looking at them walk. It's amazing what you'll notice just observing people. And you can feel when a socially strong person walks into a room because they have a presence that both gives and draws energy. Point number 9, speaks at a slower pace. Why? Socially skilled and comfortable people are comfortable having your attention. They're comfortable being heard and seen. They're okay with taking your time and your attention and making you listen to what they have to say. They're all right with taking your time. As a professional speaker, I've gotten better at this over the years, from the YouTube days and now to conferences. Well, it's still the YouTube days. When you slow down, you accomplish several things. First of all, people catch everything you say. Second of all, you can fill the time, so you don't have to put 10,000 words in your speech. You can make 1,000 words last longer. You just got to talk slower. Number 3, you organize your thoughts, and more thoughts will come to you as you're talking. And number 4, you appear more confident and relaxed when you talk slower because you are comfortable knowing that you have everybody's attention. Socially weak people feel unworthy of attention, so they talk fast to get it over with. Point number 10, keeps calm under criticism, keeps calm under confrontation. Talked about this in several master classes, which I pointed out earlier. Socially skilled people are okay with criticism because they know it'll either make them better or it'll be useful and they can throw it away. There's no harm that could possibly happen. They only will either gain something or they'll discard whatever they got, and they're all right with being pointed out for improvement because they want improvement. They know that they can't always see themselves in the mirror. They know they got to get it from somebody else. So they have a select group of trusted people from whom they are willing to take criticism, and everybody else they don't need to hear it from. So make sure you are in that group of trusted people before you offer anybody criticism. Else you are committing a anti-people skill, which I talked about in 1297. Listen to that one before you criticize anybody. Work on your game. Dre all day.